Howdy, howdy. Welcome back to my channel. Anyway, so today I kind of wanted to talk about trans people because in my last video, or one of my last videos, I kind of like was gonna push trans people to the side to make a different point and whatever. And I kind of want to address the topic of trans people. Kind of what got me on this also was that I kind of got lost down a little bit of a rabbit hole of listening to Jordan Peterson and his takes on trans people, right? And I think the issue that he has is when it comes to trans people is that he allows his ego to take place when it comes to the topic of trans people, right? So he's not looking at it from a very objective point of view. He's looking at it from a very like, this is how I interpret the world, and I'm going to apply that to the existence of trans people. What I mean by that is that he keeps talking about how trans people, one of the things that he talks about is how trans people, it's this, I don't want to say necessarily that he says that it's like an invention, but in a way, he's kind of saying like people are misguided and they're thinking that they're trans when they're really not trans. And people need to allow themselves the time to really come to their own and all of that. And here's the thing, right? I'm not going to knock that. I do think it's important for people to come to their own and not just jump to a conclusion. One of the things about gender in general is that there's two things when it comes to gender. There's expression and then there's identity. And those are two very different things, right? Just because you express yourself gender-wise, you express yourself in one capacity does not necessarily mean that's how you identify, right? You can be a very effeminate person presenting in your expression, but still identify as a man. Likewise, you can be very masculine in your expression and still identify as a woman. Identity and expression are not the same thing. So I do agree with him in saying that it is important to, understand yourself and allow yourself the creativity to exist or whatever. But what he fails to understand is that that already happens, right? Most people are not just jumping in on being trans and then transitioning immediately, right? Does that happen? Sure, but it's not the thing that happens the most. It's not the most common thing. That's a very uncommon thing to happen. The thing that happens most is people having this feeling like their identity doesn't make sense to them and then exploring different avenues of gender expression and then kind of coming to the conclusion, oh, this path actually feels right for me. So I'm going to explore it. And, after 6 months to a year, even beyond a year, a lot of people figure out, okay, actually, I think I am trans because I have been socially, in whatever capacity, I have been living life as the gender that I identify with, and it aligns with who I am, and it feels natural. It feels like it's supposed to be me. And so they make the decision to transition medically. And I feel like that's kind of what he misses, is that aspect. But another bigger aspect that I feel he misses is that he keeps thinking that this identity, that trans identity in and of itself, is not part of the natural order of things, right? And this is a stance that a lot of people take. They think that it's not natural, or they think that it's not a natural occurring thing. And I invite you to shut the bias off for a moment and allow yourself to really understand what I'm about to talk about and expand your perspective on the matter, right? Because what a lot of people do, and this is the mistake that Jordan Peterson is making in a lot of the videos that I've watched, is that he keeps trying to fit transgender people into the system that we had in play, because we're kind of evolving into a new system of understanding. But he keeps trying to fit trans people in the old system of understanding, right? The old system of understanding was there's man and woman, male and female, and that's it. It's a binary, and you can't exist outside of that binary. But the new system that we're having a better understanding of is that it's actually bimodal. So you have male and female, man and woman, but then you have areas in between, and it's a spectrum, right? Trans people are not going to fit neatly into a binary system, because even a binary trans identity, such as myself, a person born male who identifies as a woman, even we don't fit neatly in a binary, because in order to fit in the binary, you need to identify as male or identify as a man and be born male, and identify as a woman and be born female. And that's not trans existence, right? The whole point is that we break that binary. So you have to throw that system away and understand the new system of bimodal: male man, male man, female woman, and then everything in between, the spectrum in between, right? That's the system that you need to now start adopting. We as a species need to understand that you cannot hold on to the same belief forever. At some point, with understanding and new information that's presented, you have to be able to adapt to that new information, and all the other things that you used to believe, you gotta throw them away or update them, right? And that's the problem that a lot of people have, is that they don't want to update that. They don't want to update that binary system, because it's, you have to change the understanding that you once had of the world, and you have to change it and update it to a new understanding. And a lot of people are not willing to do that. But you have to, right? Because with new information, you can't progress as a society if you keep holding on to old systems of thought, right? You can't progress, because the new information that you find out, and the new information that comes out, and new data and new things that come in, they're not always going to fit in that old way, in that old system, because that system was created in a time where these things, the new ideas, were not known, so it didn't account for them. So you have to update or discard that old system. It's kind of like with computers, you're not going to be able to play modern day video games on an old computer. Like Windows 98 cannot handle most modern games today. It just simply cannot handle them. It will crash and burn, right? So you have to update the software. You have to update the computer in order to play those games. So that's the problem, is that they are trying to use Windows 98 for modern day games, right? And you can't do that. And I want to kind of expand upon the notion that trans existence is new, and like it's a recently occurring thing. I want to invite you on I want to take you on a little bit of a thought experiment here. I mean, it's not even really a thought experiment. It's just like looking at it logically, really. But think of it this way, right? Trans existence has been around since the dawn of humanity. I think it's pretty safe to say that. The reason why it didn't appear to be so is because there were less people on Earth, right? If you have 100 people, what are the chances that one person of that 100 will be trans, right? Let's say that the world only has 100 people in it. What are the chances that even one person is going to be a trans person when there's only 100 people on the Earth? Pretty slim to none. So in that view, it's going to seem like trans people don't exist. But then more people enter the earth, and more people enter, and now it turns into 200, and then 400, and then 800, and soon enough you have 1,000,000 people. What are the chances then, out of 1,000,000 people that exist on earth, that one of them will be trans? That percentage now becomes higher. Now there's more of a chance that it can happen. So it's not that trans people kind of just came out of nowhere. It really boils down to a numbers game. And in modern day, when you have going on 9 billion people on earth, there's gonna be millions of trans people. Like, guaranteed there's gonna be, just probability wise, there's gonna be millions of trans people. So anyway, this is a shorter video, but I think that was kind of the point that I wanted to drive home, is that I think it's important to not do what Jordan Peterson is doing. And it really, really is very unfortunate, because he really is a very brilliant person. He has very brilliant takes, and his perspectives are very refreshing and very enlightening and very wise. But when it comes to trans people specifically, and there's other areas, but specifically trans people, because that's the thing that I was watching today, I think that is a blind side of his. Not even a blind sight, is that the word? Blind spot. That not just blind spot necessarily, but like his ego overtakes, where he gets too caught up and too narrow vision on one perspective, that he is ignoring other perspectives, and he's ignoring the bigger picture, because he wants to fit trans people neatly into a binary, when trans people don't fit binary. It's bimodal is the system that we should be adopting now, and that could change in the future given more information. Who knows? But anyway, that is this video. I hope this video, honestly, I really do hope this video finds the right audience, but that remains to be determined. We really don't know. But regardless, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. And as always, find that subscribe button, up, down, left, right, pink and blue, Dance Dance Revolution, wherever the subscribe button is for you. Scooby-Dooby-Doo. I don't know anymore. Anyway, all right, well, take care, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.